Hi there, Kevin Porter here, Kevin Porter for Congress, and today we're going to talk a little bit about why we need to focus on our domestic and international protection as the United States of America. Well, as many may know, world powers are shifting. A lot of stuff is going on in the world. China is making a lot of headlines amongst other countries. What is going on, and what is our obligation and duty as the United States of America to protect, to police domestically, internationally? There's a lot of stuff to talk about, so stay with me here. It's going to be a good video. And anyway, so once again, who am I? I'm Kevin Porter, and I'm running for Congress in District 11 in Florida. This is my campaign logo right here. And District 11 is just west of Orlando, though this information is pertinent and interesting and for anybody who is concerned about our protection. And it's no secret that we've been hearing a lot about, national defunding of the police, international defunding of the military. And just as a principle, first and foremost, I think you should understand that, speaking as a candidate now, that I am 100% for our domestic and international protection. I believe that without a good service or without good protection domestically and internationally, then things will not go well. This assumption that we can defund the police, defund the military, and live a utopian life is unfortunately not possible. It won't happen. Things only get worse. A good example is a lot of these cities we've heard about. One of them being like Seattle and other places as well. Well, where they defunded the police, a lot of bad stuff has happened. I have a friend, for example, who works for the police force just south of Seattle in the state of Washington, up in the Northwest, a very liberal city. And basically, the governor wrote into law that police are no longer allowed to stop based on probable cause. What is probable cause? That's suspicion. Okay, something's not right here, right? Our law enforcement, we trust a lot of times to snuff things out. Like, okay, these people are a little suspicious. Why are they walking around like this? Why are they doing that? Why are they covering themselves? Why are they running away? Why, that's probable cause, is when they're allowed to stop somebody and question them and figure out what's going on and determine if there's a crime or not a crime. Now, we don't have this issue in Florida, fortunately, though, in many places we're seeing this. And this wave of defunding the police and so on has led to just spikes in crimes. I'll give you an example. A homicide rate in the city my friend's a police officer for is, I think it's quadrupled since they started defunding and limiting the police's powers. So he can no longer stop somebody unless he's able to essentially prove that a crime is being committed. Like, he can only stop somebody if he knows a crime is being broken, right? Or the law is being broken, sorry. And so there's no probable cause. Probable cause allows you to, hey, there's a couple of shitty guys snooping around a house, shine their headlights in the window or whatever, but that's not a crime legally. They can look, or whatever, just an example. And he couldn't stop them, right? So we have this as an issue. The other issue of respect towards our servicemen. And it's not just the police, domestically. You have the police, you have the Coast Guard, you have FEMA, you have a whole bunch of, firefighters and so on and so forth. Now, these servicemen should be supported, should be taken care of, should be respected greatly. I'll talk about the international situation, what's going on there in a minute. Though nationally, we need to make sure they're funded, they have the money they need to do what they're doing, because one of our founding principles, our main principle when we signed the Declaration of Independence, was that everyone is entitled to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, endowed by our Creator. So life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Now, if you're afraid to walk out your door because of crime, is that liberty? Is that freedom? Right? Are you allowed to pursue happiness when you're afraid that your car's going to be stolen or your boat's going to get stolen or whatever, right? Or your house is going to get robbed? No. So it's the government's job. Obviously, you have the domestic government, or like you call it, state, county side, city side, and federal as well. But it's the job of the government to uphold those principles that we are endowed by our Creator, as said by the forefathers. And that requires making sure that crime is fought against. Crime is taken care of. If there's a lot of crime, then we need to find a way to fund or activate or do whatever it takes for us to take care of the crime situation, right? And servicemen who have served us, a lot of times they are risking their lives. Do you understand that? Putting their lives on the line to fight crime. When most people run, these people are going towards the danger. It could be armed suspects. It could be a fire in a house. It could be a hurricane, you know. And these servicemen are running towards the danger, not running away from it. So what I'm trying to say is we need to really give them an extra pat on the shoulder of respect from us, but also we need to take care of them. So not just take care of our current servicemen, but we need to take care of our retired servicemen as well. I mean, seriously, they put their lives on the line. They've taken care of us in many ways. We should take care of them. We should give them the benefits they need. We should give them the access they need, the help they need, whatever they need to have a nice, life after they've served us. A nice retirement as well. I believe in that. We should support them in retirement as well. Benefits and so on. Healthcare, etc., etc. Now, we have another element domestically. That's kind of my general view of the domestic servicemen. Obviously, there's certain type of servicemen, public servants that aren't beneficial, okay? And that is like, for example, the current administration in, that federal administration, how they authorized 87,000 new taxmen to be hired to come after your money. And what they do is it's a cat and mouse game, right? The IRS, they uphold their code and they go after people who they believe are infracting that code. Now, a lot of it's interpretation. A lot of it is not necessarily true or just. And they'll get you on things where they know they shouldn't, just to get more money, just to bankroll whatever it is they want to do with all the money. So when you have a government in power that has a socialistic tendency, wants to make everything social, universal, and so on, that doesn't come free. That's a money sucking thing. And that money has to come from somewhere. So what do? They go after the people who work for a living. You and I. They go after people who are working to give the money to people who aren't, or the people who, are immigrants or whatever it may be, because that's part of their agenda. Universal. Everybody has to be the same. Whereas some work hard, some don't. And the ones that work hard get to pay for the ones that don't. It's just, anyways. So there's certain types of servicemen, of course, and service branches that I don't believe in as much. Like, I believe the IRS should exist, but I believe the IRS should be there to support us, Make sure we're doing things the way we should, but not going after, not this fear of they're constantly breathing down our necks and looking for us to, it's this mindset of like a prison ward when it comes to IRS, it's like, oh man, oh, not the IRS, So they should be there to make sure that things are run efficiently and correctly. I think that's fine. Because we need tax money, we do, to pay for our servicemen, to pay for our protection, to pay for roads, to pay for all sorts of stuff. We have to pay our taxes. It is what it is. But it's, we don't want to let the socialist agenda take all our money and give it to the government, which is just going to screw everything up. Because the governments are there for a reason, but there's certain things they shouldn't do. A government shouldn't be involved in. And that is how to use our money. You know what I mean? They should be there to guarantee life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, but everything else around that, they should keep their greedy hands out of our pockets. Basically, that's how I view things. Let's talk about international and domestic protection. International protection, sorry. So what do I mean by international protection? International protection, essentially, I'm talking about defending our borders abroad. That means defending us against any tyranny, any evil, any threat towards our country. That is not allowing 2.2 to 2.3 million illegal immigrants just flow across our borders like what is currently happening. Undocumented, unvaccinated, not pro-vax, I'm not talking about that, but, all the other immigrants, they got to get vaccinated. At the time of the recording this, they have to get vaccinated to get a visa, right? My wife, we're in this dilemma in a situation with her. She's Danish where she has to get vaccinated to get her green card. 3 years in the process, trying to get her over, and she can't until she gets the vax, right? Meanwhile, and it's 3 years doing everything right. Married for 15 years, had to put up all these financials, go through this huge, insanely bureaucratic process, pay all this money, and she still can't come in the country. Meanwhile, they're just letting millions of illegal immigrants. We don't know who they are. We don't know where they come from. A lot of them are criminals. Just flow across our borders. Why? Because they're going to allow them to vote. They're going to try to push for them to vote. And then who will they vote for? Yeah, whoever gave them the handouts, right? The foot up. I'm not against immigration, but I'm against illegal immigration. I'm for, obviously, legal immigration, doing things right. To do things correctly. So part of international protection is securing our borders. We need to secure them, right? We're fighting a proxy war with Russia to secure Ukraine's borders, but we can't secure our own. I mean, really. It's just ridiculous. So we need to secure our borders. We need to make that happen. Another thing is obviously the threats of invasion. A country abroad that's looking at invading America or doing something bad towards America, they're looking for weakness. When they can see that a country is in chaos and division, that's when they pounce. They pounce in many ways. First, they may try to get an economical, leg up and get ahead. Secondly, they try to crush us and push us out. And thirdly, they'll try to take over. Our country is more and more divided. It's becoming more and more chaotic as time goes, as people, there's this partisan divide that's just insane. And we need to do something about it because people are watching, right? At this time where we're, having to deal with our own drama domestically or in our country, China is dividing and conquering like crazy. I was down visiting some politicians in Brazil a couple months ago, and I went to the federal capital, Brasilia in Brazil, and met with some great people there, senator and some other people, and they told me that, hey, China is essentially taking over South America, and they're pushing in towards Brazil. There's this agenda. They're just trying to take over. And how do they do it? Financially. They do it in Africa as well. The BRIC countries, Brazil, Russia, India, and China, BRIC countries, they're expanding. They're creating these alliances. And what are they doing? So China, who is getting filthy rich based on us, we created the monster, in the 80s, 90s, Clinton administration created this huge trade agreement where we're allowing our stuff to cheaply be produced in China, or at least it was cheaper. It still is a bit, but all of our knowledge, all of our innovation that we built and created and worked hard to get, flowing over, giving it to a communist country who could give a rat's what about us. Communism is evil. It's evil. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. It's evil. Plain and simple. And so we're feeding this beast of communism that just does not care about people. And this beast is just grown into a monster. And it's a powerful country. It's set to pass the United States as far as GDP within the next 5 to 10 years and become the world's superpower. Now, what happens when the world's superpower is communist? What happens? Well, currently America is still the world's superpower. That's changing fast. And so we kind of dictate what goes on. Does that make sense? We dictate, hey, there needs to be democracy. There needs to be freedom. Good example of that is like what we're doing in Afghanistan. All these wonderful servicemen serving over there, fighting for the Afghani people. And then all of a sudden what happens? The current administration just pulls everybody out. Just pulls out Afghanistan. Boom! The whole house collapses. We leave all these freedom fighters behind. All these wonderful people, soldiers behind. A lot of them get killed, get tamed by the Taliban. We leave billions of dollars in advanced military equipment behind, cash behind. And what are the Taliban doing? They're selling them back to Russia, right? Russia, they're selling these things back to, or not back to, but selling these things to Russia. Russia's fighting Ukraine with a lot of our equipment. It's just madness. So we pull out. We spent a couple trillion in Afghanistan. I think it's 2 or 3 trillion throughout the many years. And we're fighting for these people, and these people are just, they're experiencing freedom, they're experiencing a lifestyle they've never had before, democracy. As a world power, we're able to basically give that to countries. Hey, we'll protect you. We'll watch over you if you join our alliance. Stay together with us. Let's be together, right? So what's happening now with that embarrassing pullout in Afghanistan? Then the countries are becoming more and more afraid to allow us to give them protection or promise protection. So what are they doing? They're creating alliances with Russia, with China, and more countries are basically going that direction. China at the same time is building these infrastructure projects all over the world, in South America and Africa and the Middle East, all over. And what they're trying to do is push out the U.S. dollar as the dominant currency. Right now, the U.S. dollar is the dominant currency, the reserve currency has been for many years, which creates what? Which creates strength, stability. And the U.S. served as the world's treasury for many years, but that's changing now. All the countries are taking all their gold out of the reserve in America. This isn't talked about, but they're taking all their gold out now. In the old days, you exchanged dollars for gold. Hey, put your gold in our treasury. We'll give you dollars. You ever want to take the gold out, you bring the gold out, but the dollars represent the gold standard, right? We no longer have a gold standard. It's gone. The days of gold standard is gone, and the days of inflation and money printing is in. The more money you print, right, the less something is worth. So 13 million plus dollars in money printing the last couple and a half years, that's ridiculous. That's going to cause you to lose your value of purchase, right? Purchasing power. And I'm going to be on a rabbit trail here, but just so you understand what's going on internationally and protection, what it means. Protection is also monetary, economical. Our country needs to produce more, needs to innovate more. Right? We need to get back to stimulating innovation in our country. So we, are always ahead of the curve, and we bring others with us ahead of the curve. Rather than us giving all our intelligence and information and innovation to China, building up this monster who then is self-perpetuating and, fighting to outrun the U.S. and creating a coalition with Russia, creating a coalition with all these BRIC countries. All these BRIC countries, they have these agreements. Right? When I was in Brazil, for example, I learned that, while the West is sanctioning Russia, they're doing deals with Russia, buying fertilizer, buying all that stuff, keeping their country going. And, that's another thing too, is us putting sanctions on Russia and sanctions on all these countries. It also makes these countries afraid, the BRIC countries afraid, the developing nations, Now, when will we be put into a corner if we're doing something they don't want us to do? So they're looking to other alliances now. Alliances are increasing towards the east. The Iron Curtain is coming back up, unfortunately. Iron Curtain is the curtain basically between the East and the West that there was. Cold War times, That's building back up, and it's coming back. And we're sitting around doing what? Trying to push socialism into our culture, into our country. Talking about whether you're he, she, binary, I don't know what. It's just ridiculous what's going on in our country. And at the same time, these countries are just building and increasing in power and centralizing their power. And a lot of centralization of this power happens and occurs through social media, right? This is my first live after I got deplatformed by, the blue-colored platform with the F. Okay? They censored us. A week and a half, almost 2 weeks, we were off. Because we spoke things that they didn't like. We said things they didn't like. And a government isn't necessarily what you think a government is. A government is whatever institution, whatever structure maintains, creates, and has the power over people. And I would argue and say that our current government is social media. Why? Because they're able to hack your emotions, get you to feel a certain way, and program you to act and live and believe a certain way. You notice that with our youth. What's going on with our youth? You notice that they're getting much, like way off the charts, extreme left. You notice that they're all talking about all these different genders, and we're like, where is this coming from? It's coming from social medias, because how they do that, build their algorithms is, they figure out how people think, feel, and want before the people do. The algorithms are a lot of times a step ahead. Have you ever been on, your social media platform or on the timeline, you're scrolling or looking, and all of a sudden you see this ad for something, you think, whoa, I didn't know I needed that, but I do. That's right. Right? That's because the algorithms that control these platforms, they know more about us sometimes than we do, and they're able to show us things to advertise towards us, right? And that's for advertising purposes, though it's being used more and more for indoctrination purposes. So let's say somebody's very extreme about gender. Let's say they're going that direction, like they're confused. Oh, maybe I'm a man, but maybe I should be a woman, or I guess you could say better yet, or worse yet, I'm a boy, but maybe I should be a girl. What does the algorithm do? They feed this person indoctrination about becoming a girl, why they should be a girl, and then all of a sudden they see videos from influencers about becoming a girl, gender transition, and they bombard them with indoctrination to get them to make that decision. They push them in that direction. So they cater whatever the social media feed is to whatever it is the person is confused about. And it's evil. It's evil. And we're using this platform as well and other platforms, and we have to, because there's no other way to communicate right now, really. I'm hoping that's going to change. That's one of the things I want to change when I get in, is get, big tech, put them under, basically scrutiny and get them to change. Because with big tech, with information, it's giving power of data to these companies. And you want to know one we're giving a lot of data to and a lot of power to, especially with our youth and our coming generation? That's TikTok. So TikTok is owned by the Chinese Communist Party, and it's one of the biggest apps in the United States. All the data that gets collected on TikTok gets passed on to China. So they are able to collect all the data about all these users, millions and millions of users in the United States of America, and know our moving, our being, our existence, and everything about us. I think TikTok should be banned, right? Let a competitor come up if they want to in the States, cool. But I think they should be banned. Because TikTok is Chinese. And now with their advertising, people are pouring billions of dollars into TikTok advertising. It's going towards the Chinese Communist Party. China is no longer just us buying made in China stuff, little cheap Chinese toys, if you remember, at the dollar store or whatever. We're pouring money into this country like never before, while they're building up their military and their technology to take us over, to attack us, to conquer us eventually. And they've openly expressed their hostility towards America, yet we're pouring billions and billions of dollars into their pockets. How does that work out? How is that logical? So you see what I mean? How big tech can affect our international protection? How important it is for us to get this under control and look at this? The problem is we have all these senile politicians in office who don't understand this. They don't get it. And they don't understand it. I don't know if you remember, but there was a deposition between the owner of the Blue Platform with DF. You know what I mean? I can't say names because I got censored before. Anyways, there's a deposition between him and all these politicians. They're asking him all these questions. They just look like complete idiots because they don't get it. They're too old. Sorry. They should be retired on a sunny beach somewhere. They don't get it. They don't understand the platform. But if you had me in that room deposing the owner of the platform, I tell you what, I would give him a run for his money. I would expose things that the American people would need to know. I've used them a lot. I've spent a lot of money in advertising with them. I understand the inner workings of how their algorithms work. A lot of them, not everything, but a lot. I get it, right? You see what I mean? And so we've got these platforms that are completely making us immune. TikTok, for example, they're illegal. The Chinese Communist Party has made TikTok illegal for people under, I think it's 21 or 23 to use. So Chinese youth are not allowed to use this platform that they're pushing on our youth and making tons of money from and getting tons of control over and information over. How does that make sense? How does that even work? Well, we got to do something about it. We need to protect our borders not just from firepower, right? Military might. See, in the old days, it was all about land. Who had the most land? Who could conquer the most land? In countries, a country's power was displayed in how much land it had. Sure, that affects us today as well. But then in the Industrial Revolution, it's about machines. Who had the best machines to take over the other? World War II is about machine dominance. Now we're moving towards AI and learning, algorithm, data. Whoever has the best data and domination over that data is who's going to win. Now, if you have a country that hates us, like China, who goes in and indoctrinates our youth and puts them under their thumb through their platform TikTok, and steals all their data, dude, that's war. They're in war with us right now. Do you understand that? How serious this is? And we need to do something about it. It's seriously out of control. We need to move quickly before it's too late. Anyways, so there's a lot more we could talk about on this subject, but we really need to invest and focus on our protection internationally and domestically. At the same time, I'd like to invite you to get my free ebook, Reviving the American Dream, where I talk more about these elements and aspects. It's called Reviving the American Dream, 3 Essential Steps to Winning Back Our Country Before It's Too Late. If you go to Kevin number 4, congress.com/free ebook, you can pick yourself up, pick up yourself a copy. It's Kevin for Congress /free ebook. Grab yourself a copy, okay? And then I explain 3 steps I believe that we need to implement to win our country back before things get too far out of hand, which they're already getting there. We need to act fast, all right? Thank you so much for watching this. I look forward to sharing more information with you, talking to you in the future. Don't forget to watch my other lives and consume whatever content, like, follow, share this